Greetings loyal subscribers and honoured guests. Welcome to episode 21 of Covertape Chaos. The usual selection of 2 full games and 2 demos has been bumped up to 3 demos from this issue, and this will remain constant for the next few tapes at least. There looks to be a good mix this time around with some sports, shooting, platforming, a train simulator, and more weirdness from the mad genius that is Mr. Jeff Minter. Without further ado, let's get stuck into the first offering this month, the Addams family from Ocean Software. The Addams family were pretty big business in the mid-90s thanks to the 2 big budget movies that they featured in. They were both pretty entertaining movies with a very talented cast including Angelica Houston, Christina Ricci, Christopher Lloyd and of course the amazing Raul Julia as Gomez, who is sadly no longer with us. This electronic adaptation sees you in the role of Gomez after the family mansion has been condemned and everyone has been evicted. It's your task to hunt down Fester, Morticia, Wednesday and the others and get them to safety before the bulldozers move in. The action takes place as a fairly typical flick screen platformer with you bouncing on the heads of enemies, dodging various traps and timing your movements to explore the levels. There doesn't seem to be any sound at all in this demo, which is quite a shame really. I expect that the SID chip can do a pretty good rendition of the famous theme tune. The main frustration with this demo comes from the fact that you are sent back to the beginning every time you die. If you had been reset to the start of the screen you are currently on, then it would be a lot fairer and more enjoyable. Overall, this isn't a terrible game by any means, but it is a pretty generic one to be honest. Next up is a subject that I know very little about, football, with a playable demo of Euro Football Champ brought to us by Domark. Apparently the game was originally a Taito coin-op before it was ported to the C64 and given a new top-down perspective that works better on the rather more limited hardware. There is quite a nice tune on the title screen, but then no music at all when the action starts. Instead, there is a fairly minimal amount of kicking and crunching sounds as the player's feet connect with the ball or the shins of another player. The graphics are okay, I suppose. You can tell what everything is supposed to be, which is the main thing, and the game moves along at quite a nice pace. It does seem to be quite hard to actually score a goal though, as the few matches I played for the purposes of this video all ended in a 0-0 draw. On to a game that I am much more comfortable talking about, Arnie from Zeppelin Games. I reviewed this game in the first episode of my C64 review show, and this is the very demo that convinced me that the game was worth buying all those years ago. You actually get a decent chunk of the game to play here, as the finished product is actually not all that long. If you've not played this before, it's a scrolling shooter in the style of something like Commodore, only it is arguably better than the official version of Capcom's game on the C64. The enemies will just keep on coming, so it's advisable to keep moving as much as you can, only stopping to take out the fixed gun emplacements and mortars that are scattered around the map. If you kill a soldier in a pink uniform, he will drop a weapon upgrade. These include a much faster shooting machine gun, a flamethrower and a rocket launcher. Arnie is a great little game and it's well worth seeking out the full version. It's one of those C64 titles that has actually aged very gracefully and is still a lot of fun to this day. Item number 4 is our full game from Jeff Minter this month, a rather odd experience that goes by the name of Ancipital. The Ancipital is the goat man that you'll be controlling apparently, and you're tasked to navigate your way through a maze of different screens, each of which have their own objectives to fulfill before you can progress. By pressing H on the keyboard you will pause the game and be given a few hints about what you're supposed to do on that particular screen. For example, banana all the green apples means shoot all the green apples bouncing around the screen with your bananas and connect the cores to unlock the door to the next screen, of course. In typical Minter fashion, it is completely insane, but it's also extremely playable once you start to get the hang of things. However, you will not know fear until you have encountered Rory the Savage Guinea Pig and accidentally shot him. This furry little bugger will get really pissed off and rip you to shreds should you so much as graze him, the little git. The graphics in Ancipital are not super detailed, but things move at a furious pace. There are options for setting the difficulty level, turning off the strobing effects, and the drum effect as well, so the game is nice and customizable. All in all, not quite as instantly accessible as some of Minter's past efforts, but worth persevering with. Finally, the tape comes to a close with Southern Belle from 21st Century Entertainment. What we have here is a full-on steam train simulator with all the controls and complexities that go along with that. Your task is to travel safely and punctually from London Victoria to Brighton. Having been a commuter from Victoria to Bognor Regis almost every day for the last 5 years, I often think that I could probably do a better job of driving the train myself, and now I get the chance to try. Granted, the train is a steam train rather than electric, and the destination is Brighton and not Bognor, but it's close enough. This is another complex game that takes some practice to get into. It's nice to have some deeper challenges on these tapes, I guess, but personally I prefer the more immediately accessible games like Arnie. That wraps things up for another power pack then, and it wasn't a bad one overall. Arnie and Ancipital are tied for my favourite things on this one, with Euro Football Champ definitely being my least favourite. The Addams family was just rather average all around, and Southern Belle had a few too many buttons for my liking. I've had a look at what's in store for us with Power Pack 22 already, and it looks like it's going to be a great one, so check back here in 2 weeks' time for that episode. I may have some other content before then that you might be interested in though, such as a comparison of the different ports of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade game, including the C64 version. Hopefully that'll be live soon. In the meantime, take care.